I don't want alimony, so can we agree to no property division? Really? That's great. I finished writing the divorce papers, handed them to my wife, and immediately started packing up my belongings. My wife and brother were happily signing the marriage certificate. My in-laws are watching and cackling. Maybe this will be the last good memory you'll have of me and my brother. With this thought in mind, I left home. My name's Jake, 27 years old, office worker. I just recently got married to my girlfriend, Meg. She's kind, funny, and I love her very much, and I'm overjoyed to be married to her. But there's one problem. My brother. My brother was a very difficult person for me. My brother is 3 years older than me, but he was always very handsome and popular. When I was a kid, I always admired him because he looked like a model. He never did anything to me that I would consider a nuisance like he does now. But when I was in 3rd grade of junior high school, my impression of him completely changed. It all started when he took my girlfriend away from me. I brought her home, and he seduced her and took her away from me. I was really sad at the time. He said, "I'm sorry, but she came on to me," and so on. At first I believed him and forgave him, but when I got a girlfriend again in high school, he took her away from me again. The second time, it wasn't negligence, it was intentional. So I was very careful not to talk about my girlfriends in front of my brother. But when I was a college student, I had the misfortune to run into my brother when I brought her home. My brother was living alone at the time, but he happened to be back at the parents' house. My brother asked her, "Are you from the same college?" And she said yes. A little while later, she said, "I'm sorry, I'm going out with your brother." So I guess that means he ambushed her at the college and talked to her. I despise my brother with all my heart for going through such lengths to take my things. After all, he said to me, "It's your fault for being robbed." There's no way to repair this relationship. That's what I thought. That's why I was very careful until I decided to marry my current girlfriend. I had to make sure that my brother would never find out. That's why I didn't tell my parents that I had a girlfriend until the marriage was finalized. I didn't tell any of my local friends who might be connected to my brother. That's how careful I was with my security level. And finally, I married her. Her parents were very nice people. They said, "We're so happy that you have a son-in-law who will marry Meg. And such a handsome guy." They were very complimentary, friendly, and smiling. I knew I could do well with these people. By the way, her family runs a food-related company, although it's not that big. She also works there and will eventually take over as the next president of the company. And her parents asked me for a favor. "Jake, you've been working as an accountant all your life, right?" "Yes, I have." "Would you be interested in working for us as an accountant?" "What?" "That would be a great help. My wife has been doing a lot of research on it. It will be nice to have someone who specializes in this field." I understand. I'm not particularly attached to my current company, so I decided to help her with her parents' company. Her parents were very happy and she said, "Thank you." I was a little excited to think that in the future we would be running a company together. But the most difficult enemy always comes last. It's the meeting between the two families. I had already greeted my parents in advance when my brother was away, but there was no way I could avoid my brother at this meeting. I couldn't just leave one person out of the meeting. On the day of the meeting, my brother was like he was the star of the show, showing up in a flashy suit, and he immediately went into stealing mode. "Nice to meet you. My name's Ken. I'm a little surprised that Jake is marrying such a cute girl." "I can't believe it. He's so cute. Ken, you're the most handsome man I've ever seen." "Wow, that makes me happy. You're a wonderful person." My brother was in full throttle right from the start. When he learned that her family owned a company, his eyes lit up like emeralds. "Wow, so your father-in-law's the president of the company?" "Yeah, well, cool. And your mother-in-law's as elegant as the president's wife." "Oh yeah?" My brother began to flatter not only her, but also her parents. "Jake's going to be the husband of the next president, so he's gonna have to do a lot of work. If you don't do what you've been doing, he's going to fall out of love with you." Her parents and my girlfriend rolled their eyes at my brother's comment and looked at me. "Oh, sorry, I guess I haven't told you that I can't help with the housework or anything at all." Obviously on purpose. I'm sure it was to make her parents feel bad about me. But I've certainly been so busy with work lately that I feel like I've neglected helping around the house. I've only fed her home-cooked meals since we haven't moved in together. She doesn't know much about cleaning or other household chores either. My brother is such a pain in the ass. When I was feeling down, my parents came to my rescue. Oh, Jake used to help me a lot. Ken didn't do anything for me. I kept worrying if he would get a wife in the future. I'm still worried. Hey, Mom, don't say unnecessary things. Jake takes his work seriously. Even after he gets married, he will work faithfully and take care of the housework. Her parents nodded and smiled at their words. My brother was staring at me with a frustrated look on his face. I really don't think I'll ever understand this person. After the wedding, I moved in with my wife and close to my office, so we were within walking distance of everywhere. I started working as an accountant at my in-laws' company as promised. No, I'm so glad to be free from the tedious accounting work. Thank you, Jake. No, from now on, you can leave it to me. However, the ledgers and other documents prepared by my mother-in-law were hardly in order. I had to go back and recreate them. This is quite a painstaking task. I worked so hard on it. I didn't realize until it was too late, but it seems that my wife is doing whatever she wants at this company. She was supposed to have breakfast with me this morning. Sometimes she'd come into work at around 11 a.m. Sometimes she would just wander off during the workday, and my parents-in-law tolerated it. I said to my father-in-law with trepidation, "You should warn her." And he said, "Oh, it's okay, that's just the way she is." He didn't seem to see it as a problem. I started to feel uneasy about my in-laws, and I began to feel because there were a lot of mistakes in the book of accounts, and some of them were unclear. When I reported it to my father-in-law, who's the president of the company, he said, "Oh, that's just not right." Or he would say, "Oh, just make it up as you went along." He would say, "Oh, that's a quick and easy thing to do." I thought, then why do I need to do the accounting? I thought to myself. I was convinced that my mother-in-law had been able to get away with this appropriateness until now. There are so many things that are bothering me. I tried several times to talk to my father-in-law about accounting, but he would always give me the short end of the stick and never give me a chance to talk to him. I was wondering what to do. One day I came to work and I realized I had left something home. I rushed home to find a pair of men's shoes on my doorstep that weren't mine. An affair? I quietly opened the living room door. I found my wife and my brother talking happily. At the time, they hadn't done anything yet, so it wasn't an evidence of infidelity. I had to work, so I went back to my office right away. A few hours later, my wife came to work with a nonchalant look on her face. I'm sure that my wife always met my brother in the morning or when she left the office on a whim. I immediately hired a credit agency to gather a lot of evidence. A few weeks later, I received the result of the investigation and I was astonished. To my surprise, my brother was having an affair with 5 other women besides his wife, and all of them were older and married. I had heard that my brother had been using matching apps a lot recently, and there he was liked by a bunch of married women who were just frustrated. He must have thought he was popular with them. No matter how good looking my brother is, you can't beat his age. He's going to be less popular than when he was younger. Matching apps were the perfect way to satisfy his need for approval. Well, the result is this unbelievable number of infidelities. I showed her the photographic evidence and questioned her, "Why are you having an affair with my brother?" My wife was surprised to see the pictures, but said, "I can't help it if you find out." She said, "Well, that's what I meant. Ken is more attractive than you." Okay, let's get a divorce then. Just as well. I've been wanting to leave you too. Well, let's ask Ken to bring the divorce papers. My wife called my brother, and a few minutes later, my brother came in with a grin on his face, and he brought his parents-in-law with him. I brought the marriage certificate too, just for the heck of it. Your mother and father-in-law are going to be our witnesses. Oh, really? That's great. That's what Ken asked me to do. I've got better looks and personality than this nagging man. My in-laws already hated me because I pestered them about the company's accounting. My father-in-law grew to dislike me, and my mother-in-law said, "You make it sound like I'm a failure." We had a unanimous vote in Ken's favor. Can't you just leave me? So saying, my wife signed the divorce papers. Then, my brother and mother-in-law filed in the witness box. Yeah, put your name here and that's it. Okay. Well, fine. I'm going to give you guys hell after this. Oh yeah, I don't want alimony, so can we agree that there will be no division of property? I suggested this. Then my wife's face lit up and she was happy. Seriously? That's great! We're getting a happy divorce! I finished writing the divorce papers, handed them to my wife, and immediately started packing up my belongings. My wife and brother were happily signing the marriage certificate. My in-laws are watching and cackling. Maybe this will be the last good memory you'll have of me. With that thought in mind, I left the house. I left my stuff at my parents' house for a while, and then I started to look for a room. My parents were upset when they heard what I had to say. They decided to cut ties with my brother. I immediately decided to go through with that plan. I sent proof of the affairs to the homes of the women with whom my brother had an affair. Naturally, the husbands were furious. They all demanded alimony from my brother at once. My brother panicked and asked for Meg's help, but Meg was furious that there were other women besides her. She told him, "You have to pay the alimony on your own." Meg, on the other hand, had her own set of problems. Meg's parents-in-law's company went bankrupt. Why all of a sudden? You may wonder why all of a sudden, but this isn't sudden at all. When I reorganized the books, I found that my parent-in-law's company was in bad shape. I guess my mother-in-law didn't know what was going on, so she just made the books so that there wouldn't be any negative balance. The company's money was about to go through the roof. But because of my mother-in-law's bookkeeping, my father-in-law didn't notice it either. I kept trying to talk to him about it, but he just kept saying, just go along with it, which is pretty bad for my father-in-law. So my parents-in-law and Meg both lost their income at once, and they were in a lot of debt. Meg asked my brother for help, but he was in trouble. They ended up marrying each other with a lot of debt. After Meg explained the situation, Meg tried to get me back together. After Meg explained the situation, Meg tried to get me back, but I immediately rejected her and refused to receive her calls. By the way, my brother asked my parents for help, but they disowned him. They told him to take care of it himself and shunned him. I don't know what happened to my brother and my ex's family after that, but I'm sure they're living in poverty and paying off their debts. It's a nice feeling. By the way, I told the people who work at my ex-family-in-law's company. I told them early that this company was in danger. They were all distrustful of my parents-in-laws who spoiled their daughter, Meg, too much. When they found that the company was in danger, they all started immediately looking for new jobs. In the meantime, everyone seemed to have found a new one, which was good, and I built a new house with my parents. I sold my parents' house because my brother was probably going to storm in. Thanks to no property division, I had all the savings I had accumulated when we got married, and they were all mine. I was able to use it to pay for the new house. I am now living happily with my parents in the new house, found a new job, and working happily in a peaceful life. I'm very sorry about this incident, but now I'm completely cut off from my brother. Next time, I'll be able to fall in love without being disturbed. Thanks for watching until the end. How did you like today's story? Please subscribe to our channel if you like. See you in the next one.